pass it over to you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to let everyone know that Kara Casimiro is not here this evening because she is at a bar grant conference in Washington, D.C. So I will be seated in her place this evening. I'm excited to bring to you the curriculum meeting tonight within our core update, which will talk about all the amazing progress that the district has made. And so I'm going to turn it over to Chris Roach, but before I do that, I would like to just thank the leadership teams, the teachers, and the students and parents for their support. The growth that we've seen with kids under this new reading initiative has been amazing, and I'm so proud to turn it over to them and see all the wonderful work that they're doing. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here. And the way that I'm talking into this mic when you come up, you'll do the same so that people can hear you as well for when you talk about the initiatives. Go ahead. Click. So for the agenda, we're going to look at the curriculum alignment project overview, our core implementation, that's our reading program, some of our iReady results, and then some of the strategic support that we're doing in terms of improvement. This is some work that we're doing with the Future Design School, the same organization that's helped with the Build the Pathways for the Academy and the work that's inherent to that. And this is Dr. Casimiro, North Star objective, to be a destination district known for our innovative programs, student opportunities, and for cultivating cultural competence. So ground us in the work, and the reason I put this in here, I've had this before both in the budget, but also in general, it's important to talk about like the inequity in staffing between comparable districts, and when you're doing that, that makes the work exponentially harder, but exponentially more rewarding in many ways. So that's a Danbury to Norwalk comparison. You can see just, one need only look down the right-hand column to see that they have more. The next. This one's not as clear on the screen, but what stood out to me here, the reason I included this, South Street School is a Blue Ribbon School, perennial school distinction. And when I look here, you have a Norwalk School that has 10 instructional specialists at that school, where South Street has in this year too. I think the work that's done in Danbury because of the team here, because of the school leadership teams and the district cabinet team and everyone else involved, especially the teachers who, just are a heroic effort to get the results that they do with such, limited in terms of staffing capacity. Next slide. All right, and this was something that Dr. Casimiro was really adamant about. As we put together our alignment documents with curriculum, the vision here was to develop a clear, consistent approach to teaching and learning that weaves together the district's initiatives, including the constructing meaning framework and approach that meets each Danbury student's needs and shows the learning trajectory across grades, subjects, and the portion of the graduate's skills, so that comes along as well as the standards-based report cards, and then we can look on that continuum to see how we're going to move towards the academies. And then this was something that's going to be displayed on the individual schools' websites as well as the district. And the core commitments. So Dr. Casimiro wanted me to introduce this to the board. Talking about elevating rigorous and engaging learning, fostering inquiry, critical thinking, problem-solving skills through rigorous student-centered instruction. Cultivate, it's what we're doing, cultivating inclusive and culturally responsive education. So designing environments so that all students can feel seen, valued, and supported with accessible approaches to learning that nurture academic and social-emotional growth. Create, as you know, we're creating pathways and possibilities for future student success. We provide pathways that empower students for post-secondary readiness or post-secondary opportunities, career readiness, and lifelong learning, so that continuing through the academies and beyond. Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Gomes to say a few words about constructing meaning. Mr. Gomes.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. So I guess the slide shows you what we call a blueprint for serving English learners throughout the school day. This reflects pretty much the legal requirements coming from Title III, which in a nutshell indicate that English learners need to be receiving instruction in English at their level of English proficiency and access to meaningful grade level academic content. In order to do this, we have adapted this blueprint, which indicates instruction in English at that level of English proficiency, which we call our English language development or ESL classes. And then the constructing meaning or CM would be an extending way of providing a continuation of English language instruction in the academic content areas. And that requires the explicit instruction of language acquisition. So the students spend a small part of their day in the ESL classes, but the majority of their time is spent in the regular mainstream classes. So they need to continue to be provided with language instruction in the content area. That's what we mean by constructing meaning, which is a way to provide that explicit language instruction and not stop the process when they leave the ESL classes.
Thank you. Mrs. Nadeau, if you'll talk to us a little bit about the curricular alignment with the lens of constructed meaning for explicit language instruction.
Good evening. So starting with the curriculum that we've been writing for the pathway of high school, we've undergone a process in the last couple of years, and I've stood before you to share that writing process, to ensure that we're thinking of a backwards design approach when it comes to not only embedding the standards of the courses that we're designing, but we're also embedding the portrait of the graduate, attributes and skills. Part of that work this year has begun to look at our assessment tasks and think about how we're really creating opportunities for students to speak, to listen, to write, and to read with respect to the constructing meaning framework that our district is being trained on. What that means is you're going to see a higher level of assessment creation that now looks like really specifying what kids will do in an assessment. So are they comparing and contrasting? Are they explaining? Are they writing a sequence or of instructions? By spelling that out for teachers, we're now giving them the opportunity to really design instruction that focuses on what does a kid, a student, need to be able to explain and describe? What are those words they should be using? What do they need to compare and contrast on the continuum of K through 12? Because obviously what a kindergartner is going to do will be different than a 12th grader. So this new focus on embedding the ability for teachers to design instruction around students' skill of constructing meaning around the use of language is our next iterative level of curriculum work that we've begun to implement this year. So in a very few weeks, I'm sure we'll be talking about our introduction courses that for the pathway. We started with our exploration, we did our essentials, and now we're on the introduction. And you're going to see more of these embedded language functions within that curriculum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to have Ms. Mackenzie Moratti, come up and talk to us a little bit about our core, but I think it's important to talk about, this was one of the investments in the ESSER funding, was funding this particular program. And I think it was a very prudent move on the board's part to adopt all the way through 5th grade, so that what we're seeing in 4th and 5th grade now is very impressive. Mackenzie.
Thank you. So I think some of the great growth that we've seen throughout the elementary schools this year can be attributed to the Art Core program because it's an extremely engaging and rigorous program. And starting right away from kindergarten, we see that students are using very high levels of academic language and vocabulary in the classrooms, along with teachers, students. We're seeing it all across the board throughout the schools. The teachers are also using an instructional toolkit that meets the needs of all their students. We have an ongoing collaboration with our district coaches and the Art Core coaches, and this has been really critical to the successful implementation, ongoing support and collaboration together. We have also taken a lot of the feedback that we've received from those sessions from either building administrators, the coaches, and our curriculum and assessment specialists, along with our coaches, have partnered with our multilingual team and have created a bunch of resources for each unit for teachers. We have also partnered this year with the Hill for Literacy, which has been really great at providing teachers with some professional learning around the science of reading and just kind of expanding their educational background and giving them some additional tools to really support student growth and achievement. We've also been partnering with principals and either working with coaching groups of teachers, certain grade levels at schools, or just individual teachers working in PLCs to analyze the data that we received from this and then determine what are the next instructional steps that we need to take to keep our students growing.
And just to point out, one of the critical pieces of the RCORE program that I think has been very effective is it's almost, I don't want to say forced differentiation, but it creates the conditions where I can have a child in first grade reading level and fifth grade reading level in the same classroom, and I'm able to get toolkit lessons through an assessment that shows where I'm at in that snapshot in time, so I can meet the student where they're at in small group instruction and help move that student forward. When I look at the growth across this IRLA assessment, and then we look at the growth across iReady, we're onto something with this differentiated model, and it's quite exciting to see, so thank you, Mackenzie, for that. Oh, yeah, please.
So we had something really exciting happen last week at KSI. Actually two of the students submitted their work to American Reading Company, and one student was chosen as an honorable mention for his story, Journey into the Arctic, and another student, Logan, was actually awarded with the Award of Excellence, and his book, Welcome to the Arctic, which you see here, is going to be published by ARC, and they're going to be including it in all of future collections across the country. And what's extra special about this is we had the CEO from ARC here last week to meet with our principals and building administrators, and she told us that in the last 10 years, they've only had about 15 student books that they've published. So this is a real honor. They get tons of books all the time every year. So, you know, these two students and their teacher, Ms. Pearson, have been working really hard, and we're very proud of them.
One of the misconceptions I think sometimes in public education is what you need to effectively run a school and or district. And I think I liken it to professional athletes, right? If you're a Mets, Yankees fan, whatever, you've got a manager, you've got a pitching coach, you've got a bullpen coach, you've got a hitting coach, you've got someone working with the fielding in the field. And I think sometimes, we look at a school, they have a manager and they have players, right? And they're missing oftentimes that piece of the instructional, the content expertise, and that sort of narrow slice that goes a long way when you have deep expertise in a particular area. And what we're seeing this year is that expertise, both on the leadership level, but also the coach and department head level, is really paying dividends. And I'm going to ask if we could have Mr. Ian and yes, and Mr. Ian and your group that has worked together, come and talk about some of the successes you've seen through the coaching model in literacy. Sorry, mathematics, which culminated in exceptional reading.
It's not, Mr. Ian's not.
Mr. Wendell.
Ian is
It was
fine.
slum, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes, it was my Arrested Development. It's hey guys, thank you guys for having me. So you hear about a lot of, oh dear. I did not know there was a photograph. That's jarring. So I've had the opportunity throughout my career. I'm going to talk specifically about work I've done with Ms. Foreman. I've been in this district for 13 years. I've worked with a variety of coaches. What I'm going to talk to today is about my experience this year. But you could cut and paste Ms. Foreman's name with a variety of coaches. What the work that has been done this year specifically is not different than work I've done with other coaches. Some of that are still in districts, including Dr. Mead, who's not behind me. So I've been in the district for 13 years, and really just to give you an overview of like what this looks like day to day. These coaches are up here, they're working with the curriculum, they have to give us professional development. But on top of that, they're in the classroom. So I've been lucky enough, Ms. Mormon and the rest of the math team decided they wanted to come in and do a sample SBAC lesson with the students, just to see, kind of get a gauge on where were we, what did we need to, the teachers need to kind of, sorry, I didn't think this was close enough, to kind of lay out for the rest of the year. And then after they left, we debriefed, and I said, you know, Ms. Mormon, anytime you want to come in, that was super fun, I'd love to. She took that very literally, and that led to a lot of emails. But what I want to get to, and I want to talk about the way it played out, was this was a coaching and teaching cycle that has led to unbelievable dramatic changes. In my classroom, I'm going to speak specifically to some IRD scores that I've seen this year, both in math and reading, because a lot of what we've done has been focused on language. I'm at Park Avenue. Those of you who are familiar with the Park Avenue demographics, we are a tremendously, I think MLL is the term now, but we have a lot of students who English is not their primary language. In my classroom alone, I'm the only student, or I'm the only person where English is my primary language in a class of 22. I have students that have just arrived to the country. I have students who have only been here for 2 years. You guys understand the makeup of Danbury, excuse me, and it's a wonderful makeup. So when Mary Jo, or Miss Moore, Mary Jo's not saying Mary. When Mary Jo, I'm nervous. When Miss Mary Jo first came in, Grandma Mary Jo, she obviously, you know, you're new to a classroom, she's pointing at students even, she's like, you in the back, and you wearing a striped shirt. It was great. But again, it didn't have that personal touch. Little did I know over the weekend, Ms. Borman printed out each student's parents wear Power School t-shirt and wrote their name next to it. So for the next time she would come in, she would know exactly what to call that student. And that may not seem like a lot, but for a person who's only been in the room one other time, to have that person know your name when you're answering a question shows how much they value what you're about to say. Especially because they're used to some ridiculous nickname that I've probably given them, so it was nice for them to hear actually, probably for once. We're at the point now, Mary Jo's been in, I would say, about 10 times, where as students are getting their IRD scores, we're FaceTiming her in the middle of the day. She was in a curriculum basement the other day, and I had a student FaceTime, he made 175% growth in his math test. And I made pull up the sign, I think she was with Dr. B, and when I tell you the way this child's face lit up, I mean, it's one thing for me to be like, hey, you did great, but when he saw her and her smile, and then Dr. B took the phone, he would have thought the kid had just hit, to use your metaphor of sports, a grand slam. Nailed it. That was not the only time. That is now every time a student finished their test and did well, they said, can we FaceTime with Ms. Borman? I'm like, sure. Sorry about that, by the way. So that speaks to the relationships of the coaching that goes on here. It is not about simply sitting there and making us, teachers having us sit through meetings. We're talking about the theory of what's happening. They're in there. They're in mine. And I know you're in how many classrooms?
Many.
Just a math age. Can't count.
Across every school.
So every time she would come in, we would do a lesson. Sometimes I would lead, she would allow me to lead, sometimes she would lead. And it became almost, I don't want to say Three Stooges, but it became very much where we were coaching each other on the fly. Where I might ask a question, I think some of you in your instructional rounds have come in during one of these lessons, where I will say something and MJ would jump right in and be like, what's another way to say this? I have a lot to say, but I want to go back to some data. This has truly been it's been a team teaching moment. So we finally finished our IRD. Sorry it took us so long. So I look back at this same cohort's growth from last year. So typically, if you're not familiar with the IRD test, they score on a certain level. The test gets progressively more difficult as they answer questions correctly. So they'll start it, let's say in the fall, that they tested at a first grade level. Their first set of questions would be at a first grade level. And as they continue to answer right, it gets more difficult. They each have a target growth of 100%, obviously, and that is what a typical 1 year's worth of growth that a student at that level would make. So I looked at it, and I had 9 of my 20 students did not meet their 100% goal in 4th grade. Now, that's not a knock on anybody, it's very challenging. This year, all 9 of them made 100% grade level growth. 6 of which made over 150% growth. 3 of those students are diagnosed with dyslexia. 3 of those students have been in the country for less than 2 years. And if you're familiar with 5th grade math, it's all words. It is very dense about problem solving, about situational use of the mathematics. I've seen those same skills transfer over into the reading that they've done. Because our reading growth is also pretty good. You can tell you were going to pull it out? All right, hold on one second.
Also, Mr. Wendell also had some of the highest reading growth in the district, actually. His median was 255% growth for a class.
But that's not me. But that's the point I'm trying to make. I've done this for 13 years, 14 years, something like that. It feels like an eternity. But I have seen good numbers. I have not seen numbers like that. I have never seen numbers like that. And yes, some of it is the art curriculum, as you pointed to, Mackenzie, being able to do targeted instruction. I learned about phonics instruction when I was in college. I taught 5th grade for 14 years. Having the toolkits to be able to address what I need to address has been the greatest thing I could have asked for. One of our biggest difficulties in 5th grade is how do I target a student who's reading at a kindergarten or 1st grade level? I don't have those resources. I don't have those books. Through ARC, I do now. And those are some of those kids, when we speak about that 200% over that, those are kids that are making 2 to 3 grade levels worth of growth in a span of 7 months. Because we took this test in March. So to kind of wrap up, and the role of these coaches, I speak about this, but there's also this woman over here, Chrissy, who lives in the Park Avenue basement. Which is why she has that cough. Just kidding, it's lovely. But similarly, while I work with Mary Jo, Chrissy's in there, and she'll be sometimes in the middle of meetings, probably with some of you people, and I'll be like, hey, Chrissy, and then she'll have to mute real quick. And I'll be like, Chrissy, what do you think about this lesson? And she'll be like, well, what if you did it this way a little bit? Give me 5 minutes, I can make something for you. And that is something we don't have time for. In the rigor of day-to-day, the 30-minute lunch, that's really a 20-minute lunch, we don't have time to do these little nuances. And having the resources of these coaches is truly one of the greatest aspects of this district, is the people you see here and what they have done for us on a day-to-day basis. So can you say that number one more time? 200. 255 everybody. Anyway, thank you so much for your time.
I just want to take a couple of minutes to name the specific things that we worked on. Do you have more to tell?
No, I can ask my
Wow, because I never do that.
Oh wait, really quick, I'm so sorry. I did have something I wanted to really quickly share. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So what I did is I asked 3 of my students, what has your experience been with this book? So one of my students is one of those level 2 on the laws. So they've been here for under 2 years. And I changed nothing. What he said was, Mrs. Borman, she teaches me fractions and she helped me a lot. She gives all the students confidence and courage to go in front of the class and show their work. I was like, I didn't know how to do it. Adding a simple fractions. But she teaches me to do it and now I can do all my work. She is the best teacher and she can teach you something. I had another student, very similar background. Ms. Borman explains how to do math that I don't know. She explains it in a way that I understand. So whenever I get stuck on a question, she makes me think about my own thinking. She has helped my teacher ask questions that help us think a lot. And I couldn't have said it better than that. She has helped me learn to get these students to ask themselves questions. Does this make sense? And that's where we have to even see it in the writing. They'll write a sentence and be like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That metacognition piece, which I'm sure you're going to speak to.
If I were to name the teacher moves that we have worked on, we're structured.
Get up, not get up. Go ahead.
You can. I'll sit.
No,
you can see that we're there we are, right? The kids love it, yeah. Just to name the instructional moves, we have used the structured student talk routines to help students interact with the language, to hear it, because you can't build your own metacognition until you start hearing what the thought processes are. Ian chose metacognition as his goal, which is to help students think about their own thinking when they're problem solving. So doing the structured student talk routines, the other questioning techniques, flipping the classroom lesson where the kids are in charge and you remove the numbers from the problems and they interact just with the context. These are the teacher moves, and we've been able to turn these into artifacts. So Ian, through being very open to this process, has helped us bring these artifacts to the other 5th grade teachers in the district. So this is not just happening in one room. So he needs to take a lot more credit for that, because his energy and his positiveness has grown beyond the walls of Park Avenue School. And it has obviously been the highlight of my year to work in this room, in case you guys couldn't tell.
Thank you. And Ian, we're glad you got over being shy about walking into the room and
Oh, I get nervous. Once I got up there, you guys are so friendly, all smiling. You guys are great.
I'm going to bring up the Studley group, Mr. Serlich, and those who have assisted Studley Rough School. What we did this year, if you look at where it says strategic support on the right-hand side, we know that if this is the audience and this group supports the entire district, K-12, that there are not enough of them to support the number of teachers, to support the number of students. So we had to make, some decisions around who best to support, and we decided to go with 4 schools that we've been very strategic about. So Mr. Serlich and friends, if you can please talk to us about the support you received and the return on that investment.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I just want to preface it all by, I will not be as entertaining as Ian, but I am super jealous of his hair. And I hope you don't pull up a picture of me 32 years ago, because I've been in the district for 32 years, so I definitely have hair then. Just some of the things that we've been doing at Studley Rough is really focusing in on key pieces on the math curriculum and standards, and same thing in language arts. I think in years past as a principal, when we see our scores, we want to fix everything. We bite off way too much than we can chew. And I think K-5 curriculum is so in-depth and so deep. We try to fix it all in one school year, and we can never accomplish that. And we've learned that throughout time, but we continue to keep trying to fix everything at one time. I think the coaches, both in language arts and math, has helped me focus in on key pieces of the standards and really help me diagnose that with the teachers, and using the data in iReady, and also using the ARC core, the ERLA, we call it, help our students individually. And I think one of the key pieces to all of this is the collaboration between the principal, the coaches, and the lead of language arts and the lead of math. Dr. Mead and Mackenzie have been crucial in getting their coaches to help me and help my staff. At this point, we've really changed the thought process of our staff on asking for help. Instead of bringing in the help, they're asking for the help. We haven't had that in the past. So our professional learning communities have really expanded to teachers asking for the key pieces that they need to help their students go farther and get better. We had students in this year in our last, I want to say iReady testing, and you're not going to believe when I say this, they had 500%, 600% growth. This is unheard of. We've never heard of growth like this before. And we attribute this to the coaching, the pushing in that a lot of the math coaches and language arts coaches that are doing at Studley Rough.
So I don't need the microphone, in case you can't tell. I know Mary knows I don't need the microphone. So this is one of the things that the data does say about coaching, and I did want it to go overlooked. It talks about the types of professional development, and as you can really clearly see how coaching really, when you get to that classroom application, and that is what people have just spoken about. And I do have to tell you, myself, Dr. Cardona, and Mackenzie Marotti, we have incredible, incredible staff. A very, very small staff, which Mr. Roach will show you, very small staff that are making incredible gains. One of the slides in your presentation is a slide from Dr. Hislop at King Street, who wasn't able to be here tonight. But the work that Anna White has done there, both at King Street Primary and King Street Intermediate, has shown incredible, incredible growth. So these were, I know that's in your packet, but these were just two excerpts from letters, actually, that Dr. Hislop sent to Cabinet speaking about the support, and one of the things that she asks every week, I think, to Dr. Casimiro is, please don't take my support away. So I just wanted to just highlight those two things because although our teams are small, they are mighty, and they are providing things for our students that our students need and our teachers need, as you've heard from a teacher in the classroom and from a principal who's dealing with this every single day. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here today and talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Go back to, yeah, 18 feet.
I don't know.
One more. Is that the other way?
I just don't know.
Yeah.
So, something we did differently this year around assessment was we changed the assessment calendar. So a lot of times I'll come and speak with you all about our summative data for the year, our growth. And those are very important overarching goals that we have, as well as analysis that we need to do. We have a lot of internal benchmarks and other assessments that are conducted throughout the year. We took a critical look at when we were doing those assessments. I proposed a change, and it was met with mixed reviews in the beginning. And so we met with multiple stakeholders, including principals, as well as the CRC folks that you're hearing from tonight, to move some of the assessments to December, and then doing some of our final assessments in March. And for that purpose, we are often looking at autopsy data, what happened for the year. We are now doing a final assessment in grades 3 through 8 that will also take the ESPA in May to have a point in time where we can still do something about the instruction for that student. So instead of waiting till the end of the year, doing our iReady, and also taking ESPA and seeing what it told us about what the student achieved, we're now in March, and we can still make instructional moves to move that student's proficiency. So I think that I've made some believers out of people, right? So it's a challenge for teachers because they look at it as, okay, this is what people are thinking about my work this year for this student, but what we're really trying to shift is this idea that assessment is for the instructional planning for the student. This is not about numbers that we put in presentations to see always how the district is doing. This is about a student sitting in a classroom and what a teacher has to do in order to move that student as quickly as possible to a grade level expectation. So as we continue this campaign, we're always open to feedback, but that was a big shift in the district this year, and we appreciate the principal and the departments and the teachers' openness to try this and to see the kind of results that we're seeing in reading and math for the growth for this year in March has been fantastic.
I thought that was my idea.
Yeah,
So,
with many people.
so one of the things that I just pulled it up in front of me because I gave you information in the packet, and I know we're jumping around because I want to make sure it's interactive and involve real humans in the discussion to center the work. But I think the data also is outdated already because iReady continues to happen. And what I'm looking at in front of me that you don't have on the screen, we'll get to the screen in a moment, is every single grade level, 3rd through 5th, third through 8th, range from 133% growth through 150% growth in terms of the median. So if you lined up all the numbers from lowest to greatest, that middle number,
It's not in there, okay.
no, it's not in there. Would be one, like I said, it's because we pulled it today.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm pulling it right this moment. Would be 143. So really exceptional growth from 3rd grade all the way through 8th grade. Now, because of the calendar change, our second graders, no, they don't take it only in math. But we're looking at the highest growth that we've seen in terms of iReady data in history. We're hoping and that in giving the assessment earlier, we're going to use that data and the areas of deficiency to remediate, to accelerate, and then to really knock it out of the park on Smarter Bounds. So that's our hope, and we're hedging our bets that that will happen. The data up in front of you, and I don't want to read it to you, but you can see we're looking to improve from fall to spring, and you can see on almost all the slides a significant gain. Again, you only have a fractional component on the math that's tested, so I don't have a full denominator there because of the timing of this particular meeting. You're welcome to come over and see the computer after. But again, the strength of the data speaks to the collaboration, speaks to the work with principals, the work with the department heads, and it's paying off. Talk about, so grades 3, 4, and 5, we're looking at highest performing in terms of growth. So when it says met typical growth, and I have it up there on the screen, in the packet, it's not numbered, but up on the screen you look at grade 3, grade 4, and grade 5. Again, because of the timing, we're not able to have math up there. But if you're looking at typical growth and then stretch growth, what typical growth is, it assumes that every child should make a year's growth academically. In terms of stretch, that's your gap closing growth. So it's what Mr. Wendell said earlier about having students who are grade 1 or grade 2 and sitting in a 5th grade classroom in terms of their reading level, and how do we close that gap? 1 grade level a year is not going to do that. So how do we accelerate that? And that's the information that we glean from iReady. And if you look at met typical growth, and those are your highest performers at that time, Great Plain, Mill Ridge, King Street Primary, Shelter Rock, you had Park, South Street, and Stabley all tied for 5th. So you're seeing a lot of schools surface that maybe were not there last year, which is exciting. Grade 4, Stabley again, King Street Intermediate, Haystown Park, with Ellsworth and Morris tied for 5th, South Street. In grade 5, Shelter Rock, AIS, Ellsworth and King Street Intermediate. Again, lots to do with the coaching and support across all levels. The stretch growth, I won't read it to everyone, it's up on the screen. But many of the same schools in addition to some others. So what we're seeing, what we know from our instructional rounds and our improvement process is that if we review the data and we disaggregate by subgroup, and we really look intently at the students and try to meet the needs of the students in front of us, and then we go in and identify what do we see as a learner-centered problem. Is that corroborated by what we see in the classroom? Are we going to make some generalized feedback? Are we going to be real specific? Do we return again after identifying a problem of practice in the classroom and find the same problem? Well, that's not good, so we would do another type of round. But getting really focused about what we're trying to see in the classroom in terms of practice has really helped. The action planning component of this. Data is one set of numbers, right? But when we have data and we look historically and we see how students have done in the past, triangulate that data, now we're onto something. And that's kind of where we're at right now, is we're responding to the data in front of us. But this data is helping us plan to meet the individual needs of students. This is where the coaches and department heads at the secondary level really push in and help principals and help teachers really hone their craft and to be more specialized in what they're doing. The professional learning piece. We're currently working on a calendar right now, and we're trying to really personalize and provide some choice and flexibility in the professional learning. Oftentimes in the past, it was more we're going to implement something in terms of our program, so that would require a year-long type initiative. But what we're finding is the best professional learning is learning from your colleagues, learning from other schools. Where is something working at such a level that we should replicate? We're going to go there. We're going to think about it. What is Ian doing in his classroom to get the highest growth in the district? Well, let's learn from him. This is what we're trying to really establish, both from a climate culture standpoint, to a practical application of what we're finding in terms of the action research that's going on during these instructional rounds. You want to add anything to that?
I was just gonna say, we've done this work for several years. It really began as an idea of like a systematic approach to how to address problems of practice in the district and identify them. I've never seen it work so well as it did this year. And I think I would like to point out Chris Roche and Dr. Rocco, I think she's here as well, of the work with the chiefs around how to bring departments and buildings together in order to action plan appropriately for the needs of the staff and the students. And so I think this is a very intense, on your slides, I believe it's not as outlined as this. We changed this a bit before the meeting, just so you had a better glimpse of the amount of work that this is. We're hearing great results and how everybody had such significant changes in their practice and things like that, but this is incredibly deep work being done by both the building leaders and the department folks. This is hours and hours of prep, being in the classroom, and then following up with PLC work with the teachers, and then also on an individual level. So I've really seen collaboration in a way I haven't seen it before, and it's been incredibly productive, and only the students and teachers are benefiting. So I do want to call it out to everybody in this room who's done a fantastic job this year.
Thank you for that. If you could just go to slides 34 and 35. Yeah.
Can
Question?
we just pause for a minute and ask
Sure.
if anybody has questions?
Yeah.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
Well, I just want to say, we don't have that slide.
Right, that's what I just said, like, we changed it a little bit before the presentation, just so you had a little more information. Happy to
We'll PDF this and send it out.
PDF and send it back to you revised.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Teresa.
Does
Yeah, I'm
any,
going like.
I know, I'm sorry.
any other, any curriculum committee members have questions? Any other board members have questions at this point? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One question, can I just
Oh,
ask?
Teresa has a
One
question.
question. What are the schools that have presented? Can you just reiterate what
The
schools?
schools who are presented tonight,
Yes.
that's Mr. Serlich is Dudley Ralph. We had Ian, Mr. Wendell from Park Ave. We had KSI, we spoke about King Street Intermediate. Did we talk about anybody else?
The strategic support schools where people have provided the most intervention within the district of working with staff and students is really at Park, Ellsworth, Stately, and King Street.
Kind of just, if I could, just end back where we started in many ways, an infographic, just talking about the way to improve schools in a school district is through building capacity, building efficacy, but also replicating success stories and sharing stories of success so that you build believers, you build those who are buy into a vision so that you can be successful. And I think when I look at this is K-5, but I look at 7 instructional support staff, and you can see just in the visual, they're supporting a lot of places, right? And so we have to make some targeted decisions. We would love, I know they would love, and the teachers have requested, so many of them, can you please come to our classroom? We simply don't have that capacity to do that, so we had to make some decisions. And the good news is they really want the support, the leaders want the support, but we can't. And then look at the secondary, please, next slide. Again, enormous, there's just not enough staff, but despite that, we continue to see gains, stretch growth, we're seeing gap closing growth that's going to help us move the district forward. I just want to thank everybody back there who's in attendance for all the hard work, the extra hours, the weekends, everything that you do. Our schools are better because of you all, and I sincerely appreciate it. So on that, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
I have a question, not a question, but a comment. Based on what Mark Evie has briefed on the math, more of words than, word problems than just numbers. I think it's something to think about for the future, as you're talking about statistics or numbers to see the progression of it. I would like to see somewhere down the road the transition between that instructional in the classroom to where, how well they do in SATs. Because when you take the SATs, the math portion of it is what you're teaching right now. It's exactly. And I would like to see how transition into that and see if it is working.
It's a great point. We'd love to share that when that time comes in a few years. I'm sure Mr. Wendell will come back and talk about some successful alumni. Any other questions?
Go ahead, Kate.
I'm not on the committee, so, okay, neither am I. Thank you. Appreciate the presentation this evening. It's very, very helpful for us to sort of understand the work you guys are doing. Just sort of on the other side of things, there's been a tremendous amount of success this year, and I thank you all for the work that you've done to create that. Are there areas of this of the ARC core program that you feel maybe are not meeting the needs somewhere, or that you have to adjust or amend?
Yeah, I'll just answer that in that I don't think any program is enough. I think there's no program that's a panacea. We teach students to meet the needs of the students in front of us. I mean, we have to teach those academic standards and the progressions thereof, but to the extent that it's lacking, I don't think so, but I think what has to happen is, much like a master teacher, you need to know where to go if the child's not at the grade level. I think ARC does an exceptional job of that. But no program or curricular resource, because that's really what we have. But never should something be viewed as we're lockstep using this no matter what. When I come in your class at 10:13, I better see you on this page. That's not teaching. So I don't, looking at it, it's a very effective program from what the research tells us. During the last year's, the year before, excuse me, when this was vetted through some of the other districts that were using it, it received very high reviews. But again, much like every other program, it has areas where we could solidify.
And our district has engaged in other professional learning around the science of reading and Guilford literacy, which is giving them the overall understanding of reading development, and so that they can make the instructional choices that would be outside the program that best meet the needs of students.
The fact that the students are reading about science and making it fun at an early level, where they're reading about reptiles and really the expository text is really exciting. So.
Looks like you have some work back there.
Okay. Hi, I'm Linda Cristiano. I'm one of the curriculum assessment specialists for ELA.
Yeah.
I didn't think I needed that. So I agree with what everyone said about there's no perfect program. And what we want to do is build teacher capacity and teacher expertise. So we're doing that with ARC, with Hill. And one of the things that came out of the work this year was a teacher need. They needed they have so much coming at them right now. So they really needed more clarity around learning targets, standards. So one of the things that my role did, along with SIOP and my ELA team, is we put together a companion doc for teachers to go along with each unit. Actually, units 1 and 2 are in the works right now. But that companion doc is helping them. It's a Cliff Note version, if you will, for when they need something really quickly to pull out of it. And that came directly from teachers. So that was a direct teacher response. And they love that document. And it's actually turning into more than that. It's turning into where they'll say, can you highlight this in the ARC manual for us so it's quicker for us to grab it for students. And if you want to see what that looks like, I'm sure we can get that to you as well.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle.
So I'm looking at the staffing comparisons
Yes.
with Norwalk, and it looks like it's like 26 and a half positions. How many have we considered for the upcoming budget? Like, how will we address that at all, as far as how many positions? Is that Kelly?
Well, are you referring to?
Like, right now, I'm looking at a comparison of it looks like they exceed in general education, teachers, instructors, you've listed this chart here that shows how we are unstaffed, we don't have enough staffing. I'm sure that's what you need
Yeah.
as well, right? So I'm wondering, have we addressed this in the current budget? How many positions would address this?
Well, I was just gonna say, the part that struck me in that particular slide was not necessarily the FTEs at the top for general ed teachers, but the specialist line, which is really those providing the support both on a coaching side, but also the intervention. And that's where, I know Dr. Casimiro talked about an attempt to add student support specialists, and I think we talked about that in one of the meetings. I think it was four, right? Yeah.
So I think what you saw is in the preparation of the budget that was requested was the restoration of some of the positions that we lost, such as the instructional supports, such as para-educators to support at the kindergarten level, other resources to help our teachers and students to become more successful.
Right.
As we're going through the budget process right now, there'll have to be decisions that are made regarding are we able to add those positions in? So it's certainly our goal to support and resource our schools as much as possible with the resources that we receive.
I have one more question, if you don't mind. When we had implemented, I think it was the reading program, it was like K through 3, but we had actually purchased 4 and 5, and we shelved it for a year. We've implemented that?
Yes, that's correct.
And what about, did we purchase, were we looking to do 6, 7, 8? I know we had talked about that would have been a dream. Did we do that?
Right now, we've done K-5.
Okay, just K to 5, in both reading and math.
So the information you saw on ARC this
Yes.
evening is regarding reading, but we have made changes to the curriculum in math as well.
Okay, thank you.
And that's been rolled out K-5.
Michelle, I think the slide that you're referring to, I think what they're trying to do is to compare the fact that Norwalk has got more people and we got less, and we're doing a lot more, or getting close to that with that short period.
Yeah, I just wanted to know the number, it was 4 we're looking for. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify too, the math curriculum, although we're finished rolling out K-5, that curriculum is K-12. So that's it's rolled out at all grades.
Thank you.
Do you have a question or
I know you guys are understanding.
Yeah, Mr. Janelli, I don't know if you may ask a question.
Mr. Janelli, do you have a question?
Hello?
Well, thank you so much.
No, I don't have a question, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Before everyone leaves, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Board of Ed and our superintendent and everyone that you have came out and gave us great presentation, and we thank you. And to the 2 young ladies and the young man that helped me with my packages coming up the stairs, I want to thank you very much. Now I know your name, Ian.
I get a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Louisa.
Louisa.